That's not uncommon. So now, I don't, is there anything Frank or Avery would like to say about oaths of office? Or Kent's not here, but Molly, who's, by the way, Molly is going to be named the senior warden when Kent Henning finishes his tour of duty. So Molly is the future senior warden, but not there yet. Anyone have any questions about an oath of office? Yes, Jeff?
Was that the entire form?
Was what the entire?
That oath? What you
No. The whole form that nominees got. I don't have. Well, I may have it with me. If you want me to dig it up, how many of you received it as part of the nominating process? So you all have read the form, yeah.
Well, Father Gamer, you said that you wanted to stay to be conservative and fight. Well, if you take an oath, how can you disagree with the positions of, say, the presiding bishop who's going out there? If you take an oath to agree with them, well, then you can't disagree with them.
No, I didn't take an oath to agree with them. I took an oath to conform to the doctrine, discipline, and worship of the Episcopal Church. Part of what that oath means is that if I want to work to edify the church, the Episcopal Church, if I want to work to reform parts of it that I think are amiss, that I swear that I will do it within the polity of the Episcopal Church, within the governing structure of the Episcopal Church. And we have ways, very sophisticated ways of lay involvement, having a voice and vote in that, and clergy involvement. But I swear that I'm not going to do something outside the bounds of our polity. Okay, that I will work to, and this is my position personally, I will work to edify and reform the Episcopal Church where it is amiss, within the bounds of our common polity. That's what I'm swearing to. Not that I'm going to agree. I don't agree with a lot of things, a lot of bishops that come out of the mouths of a lot of bishops. I don't agree with a lot of things that come from the pens of a lot of bishops, and I don't agree with a lot of things that you all agree with. I don't agree. I'm not just a little automaton that's going to, be an extension of 815 New York, 2nd Avenue, New York, in Texas. All of us get to think, reason, participate. All of us have a chance to be participants in the governing structures of the church, vestry, delegates to diocesan convention. Our diocese, when it's in communion with the rest of the Episcopal Church, is involved in what's called a provincial synod, which is our province is number 7, and those are the 13 dioceses more or less around Fort Worth. Goes up to Kansas, over to Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, all the Texas dioceses, and up to Kansas. I said Kansas and Western Kansas. That's the province. Synod. They have synod. They have meetings. They do legislation. They have budgets. That's synodical structure, and we can participate in that. Be elected to synod, go to synod, have a voice. And then every 3 years we have what's called General Convention, where all of the dioceses in the Episcopal Church get together and do the business of the Episcopal Church. There's legislation and budget making and so on, election of officers. And that's the way you have a voice in the Episcopal Church and work within it to build it up and to reform it where it's amiss. That's one of the things I like about that prayer that I used this morning. Where it is amiss, reform it. Where it is in want, provide for it. Where it is right, strengthen it. Okay. Good question.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Is it not similar to when people enter the military in the United States, they take an oath to pledge their allegiance to the United States flag of America?
When you go into the military, you have to swear an oath of allegiance. Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't disagree with
right.
the military, but you do pledge.
When I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, that doesn't mean that I have to agree with George Bush, or that I have to agree with Obama, Barack Obama. I almost never agree with whoever's elected. In almost every election, I'm bummed out. But I do not renounce my American citizenship. I do not put up walls around my county, my state, my city, and say this is not part of that. How do I have a voice in that, even though I disagree? I vote. I run for office. I support others who are running for office. You know the answer to that.
Are we going to be reviewing the rest of the oaths? I mean,
I'm looking for the rest of
okay.
the oath.
Because, I mean,
Here,
you,
well,
you
here's
quoted the most palatable part of it from what I've seen.
here's the one I've got here. It's called an oath of office for service at All Saints Episcopal Church. I blank understand that All Saints Episcopal Church is a member of the Episcopal Church of the United States of America. I acknowledge by my signature below that no person may be a member of All Saints Episcopal Church who is not a member of the Episcopal Church. I understand that one of the qualifications for being a vestry member or delegate to the diocesan convention is to be a member of All Saints Episcopal Church and a member of the Episcopal Church. Now that's self-evident, but apparently necessary to state in these times. Basically means that you can't be a member of another church and be an officer in this parish. That's what that means. You can't be a member of Holy Family Roman Catholic Church and be on the vestry at All Saints Episcopal Church. All right. By my signature below, I promise and represent to the rector and the nominating committee that if I am elected to serve on the vestry of All Saints Episcopal Church, or if I am elected to serve as a delegate or alternate to the diocesan convention, and thereafter abandon communion with the Episcopal Church, I will immediately resign my position, since I will no longer be qualified to serve in the position to which I've been elected. Again, that seems self-evident, right? If you leave the Episcopal Church and you're on the vestry, that you would resign the position. By my signature below, I further promise and represent to the rector and the nominating committee that I have taken no action to cause All Saints Episcopal Church to leave the Episcopal Church and will take no such action in the future. I further promise and represent to the rector and the nominating committee that I have not encouraged others to take such action for All Saints to leave the Episcopal Church and will not do so in the future. Should I decide to do such things, such actions, in the future, I will immediately resign any position to which I may be elected and also resign as a member of All Saints Episcopal Church. Again, if I today am an Episcopalian, and if today I say that I can stay in the Episcopal Church, and at some future point, while I'm on the vestry, think that the prudent thing to do would be to leave the Episcopal Church, then I'm saying that I will then resign my office as a member of the vestry or as a delegate or an alternate. A not unreasonable thing to ask of a trustee with fiduciary responsibility in an institution. And then comes the bold thing that I read at first. I do solemnly engage to conform. So that's the oath of office. It's not, I don't think it's particularly burdensome. And it's not an insult to you to be asked anymore. How many of you are Sunday school teachers? Okay. And how many of you as Sunday school teachers had to fill out a background check? And how many of you as Sunday school teachers had to undergo sexual misconduct training? Now, when you were asked, not asked but told, when you were asked to be a Sunday school teacher, you said yes. And then you were told in order to be one you had to undergo a background check and undergo sexual misconduct training. Now that didn't mean that we thought you were a criminal, and that didn't mean that we thought you were a sexual deviant. It's just the prudent thing to do, right? To protect what? The children. When we ask you to sign off on an oath of office, it's not an insult to you. We don't think you're disloyal. We don't think you're a secessionist. It's the prudent thing to do to protect what? The church.